Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. What would happen if you stopped giving all your energy to proving people wrong and started giving all your energy to proving yourself right? See, too many of us live our lives as if our value depends on the opinions of others. We try to fit in, we try to be liked, we try to be accepted. But let me tell you something powerful. When you focus on yourself, when you focus on developing your God-given gift, your calling, your character, your discipline, you will shock everyone who ever doubted you. Because the shock does not come from you chasing applause. The shock comes from you becoming undeniable. You have to understand something about life and success. People don't believe what you say, they believe what you show. You can talk about your dreams, your vision, your plans, and your goals all day long, but if nothing in your life demonstrates progress, your words fall flat. Results are the universal language of credibility. Nobody questions results. Nobody debates results. Nobody ignores results. And here's the powerful truth. When you focus on yourself, when you put your energy into growing, learning, and executing, your results become your defense, your proof, and your testimony. Think about it. Every time you try to explain to somebody why you're not where you want to be yet, do they really believe you? Or do they nod politely while silently doubting your commitment? That's because explanations are cheap, excuses are common, but execution is rare. People aren't waiting to hear another reason, they're waiting to see a different outcome. And that outcome doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you stop worrying about impressing them with talk and start focusing on impressing yourself with results. Let me put it this way. You don't shock people by telling them what you're going to do. You shock people by showing up one day so transformed, so elevated, so undeniable that they can't connect the current version of you with the old version of you. That's the shock. That's the surprise. That's the moment when people whisper, "How did they do it?" And the answer is simple. You focused on yourself instead of proving yourself. Now here's the hook. When your results start speaking, you don't have to. People who once ignored you will now study you. People who once laughed at you will now learn from you. People who once doubted you will now doubt themselves, forever doubting you. That's the power of results. Results make people pay attention. Results create influence without you even trying. Results open doors that words could never unlock. And this is where discipline comes into play. Because the reason most people never shock anyone is not because they're not capable, but because they quit too early. They spend all their energy convincing people instead of converting their energy into execution. They burn out trying to explain themselves instead of burning calories in the gym, burning midnight oil in their craft, or burning excuses at the altar of progress. If you want to shock the world, let your work ethic be louder than your words. Let your consistency be louder than your critics. Let your transformation be louder than your explanation. Every day you have two choices: defend yourself with words or define yourself with results. Which one will it be? Because one creates doubt and the other creates destiny. If you really want to silence your doubters, if you really want to silence your inner critic, then focus on doing the work. Keep your head down, stay consistent, and let the results rise up and speak for you. Because when results speak, even your loudest critics fall silent. Discipline is the great separator between those who dream and those who achieve. Motivation is exciting, but it is also temporary. It feels good in the moment, but it fades when life gets uncomfortable, when the journey gets long, and when success seems far away. Discipline, on the other hand, is the steady force that carries you forward even when your emotions are not on your side. Anybody can be excited for a week. Anybody can show up for a day. But very few are willing to show up every day, regardless of how they feel. That is why disciplined people stand out in any arena. They are rare, and rarity creates shock value. Think about it. People are not shocked when someone does something once. They are shocked when someone does something consistently, without fail, for months and years. One workout won't impress anybody, but a transformed body after years of discipline silences every critic. One speech won't make you a great communicator, but disciplined practice over time creates a voice people can't ignore. One business idea is cheap, but the disciplined execution of that idea until it becomes profitable, that's where people stop talking and start paying attention. Discipline is the real flex because it proves mastery over yourself, and the hardest person to master is you. Here's the hook. You don't need discipline for the days you feel like doing it. You need discipline for the days you don't. Those are the days that define your future. When you train yourself to act based on commitment instead of convenience, you build a version of yourself that cannot be stopped. Discipline is not glamorous in the moment. Waking up early, staying late, saying no to distractions, repeating the same practice again and again. That doesn't look impressive to anyone watching. But give it time. When the results show up, people will call you talented. They will call you gifted. They will call you lucky. When in reality, all you did was stay disciplined. Most people think success is about big breaks or sudden opportunities. It's not. Success is about the small choices you make daily, stacked over time. Discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want now. It's sacrificing temporary comfort for permanent progress. And here's the truth. If you cannot discipline yourself, life will discipline you. The pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret lasts a lifetime. So the question becomes, which pain will you choose? Because one pain builds you and the other pain breaks you. When you truly understand discipline, you stop looking for shortcuts. You stop envying other people's progress. You stop doubting your own path. You realize that the process is the proof. And when you stay disciplined long enough, the shock comes naturally. People will see you and say, how did they do it? How did they stay so consistent? How did they transform? And the answer will always be the same: discipline. That's the flex. That's the proof. That's the power. The world only sees the final performance, but it is the hours of hidden preparation that create the power behind that performance. What people call talent is often just preparation done in silence. The athlete who shocks the crowd with impossible speed did not get fast under the stadium lights. They got fast on empty tracks when no one was watching. The speaker who captivates an audience with their words did not find their voice on stage. They found it in late night practice sessions, repeating, refining, and rehearsing. Power in public is earned in private, and when you understand that principle, you stop waiting for applause and start working for mastery. The reason most people never shock the world is because they are unwilling to practice when there is no recognition. They want the celebration without the preparation, the spotlight without the grind, the reward without the repetition. But the truth is, your private habits create your public reputation. If you are sloppy in private, you will be exposed in public. If you are disciplined in private, you will be unstoppable in public. The unseen work builds the seen success, and that's why preparation is the invisible ingredient that creates undeniable power. Here's the hook. Greatness hides itself in ordinary routines. The extraordinary is always built on a foundation of the ordinary. Writing the notes, studying the material, doing the reps, practicing the skill over and over. These are not glamorous activities, but they are the very activities that separate the remarkable from the forgettable. Everybody wants the stage, but very few are willing to earn the stage. When you do the work in secret, the results will reveal themselves in ways you could never hide. People will call it natural ability, but you will know it was the result of preparation. The key is understanding that preparation is an investment. Every repetition is a deposit into your future performance. Every practice session is a seed planted for a future harvest. And the most powerful part is this: when you prepare in private, you build confidence that cannot be shaken in public. Confidence is not arrogance. Confidence is certainty. Certainty comes from knowing you have put in the work. You cannot fake certainty. You cannot buy it, and you cannot borrow it. You must build it, and preparation is the only way. When your moment comes, and it will come, you won't rise to the occasion. You will fall to the level of your preparation. That's why focusing on unseen discipline is so important. Because when the opportunity shows up, it's too late to get ready. You don't get ready in the moment. You must already be ready before the moment arrives. That's when the shock happens. That's when the world sees you perform at a level they didn't think was possible, and they wonder how you did it. The answer is simple: you prepared when nobody was watching. Validation is one of the most dangerous addictions a person can have because it keeps you dependent on other people's approval instead of your own progress. The moment you start chasing validation, you begin to live your life on someone else's terms. You start measuring your worth by their applause, their likes, their comments, their opinions. And here's the truth: those opinions are fragile, they are temporary, and they are inconsistent. The same people who cheer for you today can criticize you tomorrow. The same people who say, "You're amazing," will turn around and say, "You've changed," the moment you grow beyond their comfort zone. That's why validation can never be the fuel for your success. It is too unstable. What you need to chase instead is growth. Because growth is permanent, growth is measurable, and growth is the one thing that guarantees your future. Here's the hook: when you chase validation, you slow down your progress. You start editing yourself to please others. You start shrinking your dreams so people don't feel uncomfortable. You start seeking permission to be great when greatness was already inside you from the beginning. Chasing validation makes you predictable, but chasing growth makes you unstoppable. When your obsession is with becoming better today than you were yesterday, you no longer need people to approve of you, because the results of your growth will speak for you louder than validation ever could. Growth is not about impressing people, it is about improving yourself. Every skill you build, every book you read, every discipline you adopt, every weakness you confront, that is growth. And growth pays dividends that validation never can. Validation is like a sugar high. It feels good for a moment, but it fades fast. Growth is like compound interest. It multiplies over time until one day the difference between who you were and who you are shocks everyone who ever doubted you. People will think it happened overnight, but you will know it was the result of daily growth stacked one day at a time. The danger of validation is that it makes you live small. It makes you choose comfort over courage. It makes you say yes to things that don't serve you just so others won't be upset. Growth, on the other hand, makes you live bold. It pushes you to take risks, to step outside the crowd, to choose the narrow path of discipline and transformation. And here's the beauty. When you chase growth instead of validation, you actually end up shocking people more because the growth shows, the growth produces fruit. The growth turns potential into power. You don't need to convince people that you're worthy. You don't need to beg them to notice. You don't need to perform for their applause. All you need to do is focus on becoming the best version of yourself every single day. And when you do, the same people you once tried to impress will be the same people asking you how you did it. That's the real victory. That's the real shock. Growth over validation every time. Talent might open the door, but obsession is what keeps you in the room. The world is filled with talented people who never made it, not because they didn't have the ability, but because they lacked the relentless drive to keep going when it got hard. Obsession is the force that separates the good from the great, the average from the extraordinary. When you are obsessed, you don't just do enough to get by. You do whatever it takes to master your craft. You study when others sleep. You practice when others play. You prepare when others procrastinate. And here's the truth. Obsession makes you unstoppable because it creates a level of focus that talent alone cannot match. Here's the hook. People will always underestimate obsession because they overestimate talent. They assume that talent is the secret to success, but talent without work is wasted. Obsession without talent still produces growth. If you give me a person who is average but obsessed, I'll show you someone who will outwork, outlast, and eventually outperform the person who was gifted but lazy. Obsession turns repetition into mastery. Obsession takes ordinary effort and multiplies it until the results are extraordinary. It's not about how good you are when you start. It's about how committed you are to never stop improving. Obsession is not a curse. It's a blessing when it's directed at the right things. The problem is most people are obsessed with the wrong stuff. They're obsessed with entertainment, obsessed with validation, obsessed with distraction. But the few who redirect that obsession toward their goals, their purpose, their growth, those are the ones who shock the world. They don't need to tell people they're working. Their results announce it for them. They don't need to broadcast their grind. Their transformation becomes undeniable proof. Obsession is the hidden engine behind every so-called overnight success. The difference between talent and obsession shows up in consistency. Talent shows up when it feels like it. Obsession shows up every day, no matter what. Talent gets tired after a while. Obsession finds fuel in the struggle. Talent might impress people once, but obsession keeps shocking them again and again because it refuses to quit. That's why obsession is dangerous to mediocrity. It refuses to settle. It refuses to accept average. It refuses to quit when progress feels slow. Obsession turns the long game into your playground. You want to shock people. Don't just rely on your talent. Get obsessed with becoming better. Let your hunger drive you past the point where most people stop. Let your focus be so strong that people think you're crazy. Because here's the irony. At first, they'll mock your obsession, but later they'll marvel at it. At first, they'll say you're doing too much, but later they'll ask you how you did so much. That's the power of obsession. It turns doubt into disbelief and disbelief into admiration. Talent may get you noticed, but obsession will make you unforgettable. The world has never been louder than it is right now. Everywhere you turn, there are opinions, distractions, and noise designed to pull you away from your focus. People are talking, trends are shifting, news is flashing, and the endless scroll of social media keeps demanding your attention. But here's the truth. The noise is not where your power is. The noise is where you lose your power. Your gift cannot amplify itself in chaos. It amplifies itself when you silence the distractions long enough to hear your own voice, to see your own vision, and to commit to your own path. Most people fail not because they lack talent, but because they never create enough space to develop it. They are too busy trying to keep up with everybody else's noise. They compare their journey to someone else's highlight reel, and in the process, they mute their own gift. But the people who shock the world are the ones who tune out the voices of doubt, tune out the pull of distraction, and lean all the way into their gift until it becomes undeniable. You cannot amplify what you keep drowning in noise. Here's the hook. Silencing the noise is not about avoiding people. It's about protecting your purpose. It's about knowing when to step back, when to say no, when to shut out the chaos so you can hear the whisper of greatness inside of you. Because your gift is like a seed. A seed doesn't grow in chaos. It grows in focus. It grows in care. It grows in the right environment. The more you protect it, the stronger it becomes. And when the time comes for it to bloom, people will be shocked at how powerful it really is. Silencing the noise requires courage. It means choosing to be different in a world addicted to distraction. It means logging off when others are scrolling. It means working in silence while others chase attention. It means being willing to miss out on temporary entertainment so you can build something permanent. At first, people may not understand. They may laugh, they may criticize, they may say you're isolating yourself. But later, when they see your gift amplified, when they see the results of your focus, they will realize you weren't running away. You were building up. Your gift is not small. It is not insignificant. It was placed inside you for a reason, and it was designed to impact lives. But it cannot grow when you are constantly distracted by the noise of the world. The world will not hand you silence. You have to create it. And when you do, when you protect your focus, when you silence the noise and pour your energy into amplifying your gift, you will shock people who never thought you could rise this high. They will wonder how you did it. And the answer will be simple. You stopped listening to the noise and started listening to your calling.